George Strait finally speaks out about Toby Keith when he is 73. George Strait was born George Harvey Strait Sr. on May 18, 1952, in Patriotic, Texas. He grew up in Pearl, which is close by. Strait grew up in Texas, where the countryside was rough and beautiful, and he learned the ideals of small-town life. These early experiences would help him become the person he is now and the musician he is today. Strait grew up in a household that valued hard labor and tradition. As a result, he came to love classic country music stars like Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, and George Jones. These inspirations would subsequently show themselves in the simple honesty and emotional depth of his own songs. Strait went to college for a short time after high school, then joined the U.S. Army, where he served honorably and was stationed in Hawaii. While he was in the service, he found a love for music and joined a band called Rambling Country that was supported by the Army. This experience not only helped him improve his stage presence, but it also taught him the discipline and determination he would need to be successful in the cutthroat world of country music. After his service, Strait went back to Texas and continued his study at Southwest Texas State University, now Texas State University, in San Marcos. He received a degree in agriculture, which shows how much he loved the country and rural life. Strait's musical career took a huge step forward in 1981 when he released his first single, Unwound. It swiftly rose to the top of the country charts and introduced a fresh traditionalist voice to a genre that was becoming more and more mainstream country. His first album, Strait Country, was the start of a long and distinguished career that was typified by dedication to the foundations of the music. Strait would go on to create more than 30 studio albums over the next few decades. Each one had his characteristic mix of twangy vocals, sincere lyrics, and simple yet emotionally powerful arrangements. Amarillo by Morning, The Chair, Oceanfront Property, Carrying Your Love With Me, and I Cross are some of the songs. My Heart became not only hits but also timeless American music. Strait has done things in his career that will go down in history. He has the most #1 singles of any musician in any genre. He has had 60 #1 hits on the Billboard country charts, which shows how consistent and popular he is. He has sold over 100 million records throughout the world, won several Grammy Awards, and been awarded CMA Entertainer of the Year several times. He became a timeless figure when he was elected into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2006. Strait stayed very humble and down-to-earth even after his huge success. He was known for not living the Hollywood lifestyle that is generally associated with becoming a superstar. He didn't do many interviews, stayed out of the tabloids, and allowed his music speak for itself, which is an uncommon and admirable attribute in today's entertainment scene. Strait has won many prizes and honors throughout the course of his career, in addition to his musical accomplishments. He has won the Country Music Association, CMA, and Academy of Country Music, ACM, awards many times, including the highly sought-after titles of Entertainer of the Year and Male Vocalist of the Year. He was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2006, which was a deserved honor for a man who had already had a big impact on the music. He started his farewell tour, The Cowboy Rides Away, in 2013. It ended with a record-breaking final concert in Arlington, Texas, when over 100,000 people showed up. This made him one of the greatest live performers of all time. In 2014, Strait finished his last national tour, the Cowboy Rides Away Tour, with a record-breaking farewell event at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. More than 104,000 fans came to celebrate him, making it the biggest indoor concert in North American history. Strait is still active in the country music scene, especially through residencies and special events in Las Vegas and Texas. Even though he said he was retiring from full-time touring, he still performs select gigs. He also does charity work and helps young artists as a mentor after the tour. He is still a bridge between generations. George Strait has had an unmeasurable effect on country music. He not only kept the genre's historic roots, but he also made them modern enough to stay fresh, interesting, and adored by many. He stayed true to himself through it all, following trends, keeping a clean country feel, and never giving up his ideals or musical integrity. Many modern country stars, such as G. E. Brooks, Alan Jackson, Chris Stapleton, and Cody Johnson, have been influenced by him. In December 1971, George Strait made a brave and very personal choice that would shape the course of his life. He ran away to Mexico with his high school girlfriend, Norma Voss. Their bond grew stronger when they were teenagers in Puyallup, Texas. Even though young love can be hard, George and Norma had a strong, lasting tie. The couple's choice to get married in secret across the border showed that they were both autonomous and wanted to make a commitment to each other on their own terms, without any fuss or outside interference. That humble, honest start established the tone for a marriage that would last more than 50 years, which is very rare in both country music and the entertainment world as a whole. George Strait always said that Norma was the one person who kept him grounded and steady over the years. She was there for him through every success and every failure, helping him deal with the pressures of celebrity with grace and humility. Their family life started soon after they got married, when their first child, a daughter called Jennifer Lynn Strait, was born on October 6, 1972. The Strait family loved Jennifer very much. She was a happy, bright young girl who made them laugh and smile. In the early 1980s, George's career in country music started to take off, but he still put being a good father first. He talked a lot about how much he loved being at home with Jennifer and Norma, finding a balance between his growing celebrity and his duties as a family man. Jennifer's presence throughout those formative years brought a feeling of normalcy to their lives. George's family enlarged again over 10 years later, on May 14, 1981, when George and Norma had their second child, a son called George Harvey Strait Jr. George had already become a successful recording artist by this time. People called him Bubba, and he would become not only George's sole son, but also a close companion and kindred spirit. Bubba grew up in a Strait household that taught him strong values including respect, humility, and a passion for traditional Texas culture. Bubba selected a route that was more in line with the rough, real roots of Texas, the world of rodeo, even if his father was a megastar in the country music arena. He eventually went to Texas A&M University, an institution with a lot of history and pride, where he got his degree while simultaneously getting into competitive rodeo. Bubba joined the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, PRCA, as a team roper. He garnered reputation as a skillful and disciplined cowboy, not only as George Strait's son. Sadly, the Strait family's life changed forever on June 25, 1986, when 13-year-old Jennifer died in an automobile accident in San Marcos, Texas. The loss was terrible and very personal, and it shook the whole family to its core. George, who is usually quiet, pulled back even further from the public eye after the tragedy. He didn't do interviews for a long time because he wanted to deal with his sadness and solitude. George and Norma started the Jennifer Lynn Strait Foundation in memory of their daughter. The foundation helps children in need. The foundation is based in the San Antonio area and still gives money to charities that help kids, such as those that focus on the arts, health, and education. It is a strong and lasting memorial to Jennifer's life. The Straits turned their sadness into purpose by giving back to the community and recognizing the joy their daughter brought to the world. Over the years, George was very proud to see Bubba grow into a smart and well-rounded young man. In 2006, Strait had a joyful and emotional moment when he was able to witness his son perform at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, which is a big deal in Texas culture. George sat calmly in the stands, smiling with pride as Bubba took his turn in the stadium. Just before he went on stage to play for a huge crowd of supporters, George sat quietly in the stands. That picture of a country music star seeing his kid keep Texas customs at the rodeo is a perfect example of how important family is to George Strait. It wasn't only about being famous, doing songs, or getting awards. George always thought that faith, family, and being true to his heritage were the most important things in life. George Strait, who is 73 years old and is considered as the king of country, has been letting his music do the talking for decades. Strait is known for his traditional sound and dignified public image, and he doesn't often get involved in public comments or industry drama. But recently, in a rare and honest moment, he talked about Toby Keith, another country music legend whose legacy, like Strait's, would always be remembered in the genre. Strait, who is known for being quiet and humble, spoke quite honestly about Keith's music and the man himself. George Strait remembered the early days when Toby Keith came onto the country music scene in the 1990s with strong energy, outspoken lyrics, and a powerful baritone that stood out among Nashville's burgeoning talents. Strait said that Keith typically veered toward rock-infused country tunes, whereas Strait stayed true to a more neo-traditional sound. Both of them have a lot of regard for the roots of country music and its practice of telling stories. Strait applauded Keith's lyrics, saying that he had a gift for penning songs that spoke to millions of people about patriotic themes, working-class concerns, and emotional honesty. He said that songs like Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue and American Soldier got people talking all throughout the country. He also said that Keith's bravery gave expression to feelings that many Americans had. But Strait's words were more than just appreciation for his work. He said nice things about Keith as a person, saying he was kind, witty, and very strong. Strait thought back on their personal interactions backstage at award shows and charity events, where Keith was always willing to help other musicians and give them his time. He really liked how hard Keith worked and how much he cared about his fans, even when he was having health problems in his later years. Strait said that Keith's determination during his fight with stomach cancer has influenced not only fans but also other country music stars. Toby was tough in a way that was different. Strait stated he didn't want anyone to feel sorry for him. He wanted to keep doing what he loved, composing songs, going on stage, and having people feel something. That takes a special type of heart. Strait also talked on how Toby Keith changed the way country music sounds. Strait thought that Keith's work was very important for keeping the genre fresh and interesting, even though they came from different times and had different styles. Toby brought in a whole new group of people that listened. He changed things up, which is a good thing. Strait said, "There's room for all of us in country music. Patriots, cowboys, rebels, and poets." Strait thought of Toby Keith's legacy and how strong it was. Keith made a big impact on country music with his strong personality, gritty songwriting, and unapologetic love for his country. Toby was one of a kind. Strait stated he had that fire and that edge. He brought something new to the table, and you could feel it every time he sang or walked on stage. This rare public recognition from someone as famously private as George Strait meant a lot, especially since Keith had been having health problems lately and there had been a lot of tributes after his passing. Strait went on to talk about times when the two singers had met at award presentations, charity events, and behind the scenes of the music business they both helped develop. Strait said that even though they didn't share the stage very much, he had a lot of professional respect for how Keith lived his life and made music. "We didn't always hang out with the same people," Strait said. "But I always liked how Toby did things his own way. He wasn't scared to say what he thought, and that takes guts in this line of work." A lot of fans were moved by the way Strait spoke. He seemed to be honoring a classmate and also thinking about how quickly time passes and how fragile life is, which becomes more important as you get older. "You get to a point," Strait said slowly, "where you look back a lot more than you look ahead. And when you look back, you see how vital it is to speak what's on your mind while you still can." When George Strait started talking, you could hear the respect in his voice, as if he was talking to another legend. Strait's statements had the weight of experience and honesty behind them. At 73, he had more than 60 #1 hits and a place in American music history. He didn't merely pay tribute to another musician when he talked about Toby Keith. He paid tribute to a brother in song, a fellow Texan, and a man who, like him, had never backed down from being who he was. In the end, Strait's memorial was more than just a look back. It was a moment of togetherness, when one famous person tipped his hat to another and reminded us all that country music is about more than simply celebrity and chart-topping tunes. It's about honesty, love, and the stories we tell. In that way, George Strait and Toby Keith will always be important figures in American music history.